And that's why folks were mocking him. That's why folks were talking about him. Have you ever been placed in a position where you know God has placed you in that spot? Go ahead. That's too really coming. When you talk to your children, have you ever told your children, if you don't study like you're supposed to study, you're going to fail that test? And you see this kid in the 3rd and 4th grade, he ain't studied nothing, but he's still making C's, passing by. And you're saying, if you don't study and do your best, you're not going to pass. 5th grade, they still passing by, just as C's. It hasn't happened where you thought it was going to happen. And so what happens when you keep telling your child to study, and he hasn't failed yet, because by some ability he's able to get over just to the minimum, they stop listening to you. I ain't been studying the last 2 or 3 years. And you told me I'm supposed to. I done made it all the way clear up to the 6th grade. Half studied. And so somehow when you say, boy, I wish this child would listen. Because if you pay attention and you avoid the problem that's going to happen, you know what's going to happen eventually. Eventually, not studying is going to catch up with you. Eventually, not doing what your parents say is going to catch up with you. And then you have the consequences of your behavior. But this is the in-between time. When you know that you know if they keep doing what you told them not to do, it's going to be detriment to themselves, but they'll keep on skating by. You keep saying, listen to me, they keep saying, no, this what I'm doing is okay. This is where Jeremiah is. Jeremiah has told them destruction is coming, but it hasn't come yet, and some folks are talking about him, saying, you don't know what you're talking about, and that God who told you that, you don't have any good sense in you. Jeremiah is in a rough position. Because you have to ask yourself, do I have the right message? Am I saying the right thing? Because if I'm not saying the right, maybe I didn't hear God right. I'm not making it up. Look what he said. You induced me and I was persuaded. You were stronger than I have prevailed. I'm in the risen daily. Everybody mocks me. I continue to preach your word. Violence and plunder is coming. But because of the word you made me preach, I'm a reproach. I'm set aside. I'm talked about on a regular basis. And I have decided, according to Jeremiah, but I ain't going to talk about you no more. I'm not going to preach about God no more. I'm just going to let it be what it's going to be. That's what he said. Maybe you ain't ever been in that situation before. You just say, I'm through with it. Not going to talk about it. I quit. I'm going to keep my busy pastor guy. I'm going to grab my Bible and go on about my business. That's what Jeremiah is saying. Don't read too much into it. That's what Jeremiah is saying. If you read the text, Jeremiah said, it's your fault these folk are talking about me. It's your fault that I'm being mocked. It's your fault that everything that you said was supposed to be has not happened, and I'm still up here like a fool saying, God said. And all this stuff we've been talking about in Bible study and Sunday school, it's always about a church that's decided whether or not it's God's way or our way. Every now and again, you want to look and wonder, when do people really believe the Bible anymore? Me and some of my preacher friends, we have this discussion on a regular basis. Do folks really believe Genesis to Revelation? in the midst of all the confusion that keeps him going. When he felt like tapping out and giving up and giving in, it was on the inside of him. His word, God's word, was in my heart. God's word was burning like fire. Have you ever seen fire burn? Have you ever known how hot fire can get down on the inside? That has to be a heck of a conflict to have. One hand you want to be quiet. On the other hand you have no choice but to speak what thus says God. If God says it, that settles it. Not what people say about it, it's what God says. Shut up fire in his side, his bones. And he said, you tried to hold it back. That's like when you watch the children still doing the wrong thing. You say you ain't going to do it no more. I know I'm going to tell my family business they want to hear. My dad, sitting back here, when I was in 7th grade, I brought home 5 F's. 6 classes, 6 F's. Varsity sports, F. Music, F. PE, F. And he looked at me. I'm standing up there. He said, man, an F and PE? And PE? I'm standing up there looking at him. He said, man, I got my degrees. I've been to school. Got a master's, got a undergraduate degree. Got mine. 18 years old, you got to leave here. You got to decide what you're going to do about it. Tired of looking for what? And I'm not going to do it another time. But at 18, you got to go. This is the last conversation I'm going to have with you this time. All right. Get a size 12 shoe. And he introduced me to my master. And he walked away. But he was a man of his word. All right. Didn't say nothing else about my grades in 8th grade. 9th grade. 10th, I don't care how up and down I may have been. I'm thinking that's very much like Jeremiah had. When you know on the inside you want to tell this knucklehead boy, I'm trying to save you some headache and some heartache and some obstacles if you just listen to me. And not make this thing more difficult on yourself. And to watch me run the car off the side of the road. But there's something about self-experience that helps a person learn. There's something about when you're hard-headed enough, you have to be taught by experience themselves. Some folks you can tell them don't go in there, and they won't go. Some folks gonna open the door anyway, look in, and walk through it because they're trying to figure out whether they can survive up in that mess. Y'all look at me. I'm not myself. I'm the only one. But Jeremiah felt the same exact way. God had told him to do one thing. But the people were continuing to do what they want to do. Jeremiah felt like he was wasting his time. Even though he knew right from wrong. And the folks continually do wrong. He said, I was born to not speak your name anymore. But what you had put in me was so compelling that I had to tell it. I'm telling you today that God has placed something inside of you. All right? There's a spirit that God has placed inside of you. If you invite